Okay, good evening, my 111 students. So these are the problems that are to be given to all Accounting 111 students for as a review questions for your upcoming fourth exam. So for the first problem, suppose that the general ledger for cash showed a balance of 67,000. And then looking into the general ledger, you found out the following: that the cash has a beginning balance of 15,000. That there was a debit posting of 60,000, which is a collection of accounts receivable. That the credit side has a total posting of 16,000, but erroneously footed at 14,000. That the bookkeeper posted twice a cash collection of 3,000. The question is, what is the correct balance of the cash account? So to correct the cash balance of the account, the general ledger showed 67,000. So in A, B, C, and D, you have to correct the error in posting a cash collection of 3,000 twice. So by debiting it twice, to correct it, you have to deduct it. So to place 3,000 in the credit side. So that's why we deduct 3,000 here. And then in letter C, whereby there was an error in footing of the credit side, understating the credit side by 2,000. So that's why that means we have to deduct 2,000 to correctly state the credits. So 67,000 minus 3,000 minus 2,000 is equal to 62,000. So the cash balance of your cash correct is must be 62,000. Second problem. If the cash balance beginning is 20,000, total debit posting for the month of 30,000, total credit posting for the month 25,000, how much is the excess or deficit of cash for the month? So 30,000 minus 25,000, for that month there is an excess of 5,000. So if we will compute for the ending balance of cash, so we will include the total cash balance beginning of 20,000. So that's why the ending cash balance is 25,000. For number 3, suppose the general ledger of accounts receivable account has an ending balance of 180,000. You examine the ledger and you found out that the beginning balance is 40,000. The company billed a customer amounting to 250,000. How much is the amount collected from the accounts receivable? So, we have here the beginning balance, which is on the debit side, 40,000. Then the debit to accounts receivable will be added to the beginning balance, which is 250,000. Then we are looking for the credit to accounts receivable. And the ending balance is given at 180,000. So to get the credit to accounts receivable, which represents collection of accounts, we will add the beginning of 40,000 plus the debit to AR of 250,000, and then we will deduct the ending balance of 180,000. So we get the 110,000, which is credit to AR representing collection of accounts. Number 4. If the accounts receivable account has a balance of 450,000 and a total debit posting of 600,000, a total credit posting of 700,000, what is the beginning balance of the accounts receivable? So in here, beginning balance is X. So that is the missing amount we have to compute. And then the debits will be added to the beginning balance, credits will be deducted, and then the ending balance is given at 450. So, to arrive at the beginning balance, we will just do the work back or mathematically reverse the operation. So, from the ending balance, we have 450,000. The 700 is added because it is actually a deduction in the formula. So, to get the above amount of beginning balance, reverse the mathematical operation. So, 450,000 plus 700,000 minus 600,000 of debit is equal to 550,000. So, the answer is 550,000 beginning balance. Number 5, Suppose the general ledger of accounts payable revealed a balance of 280,000 and a total debit posting that represents settlement of the accounts totaled to 320,000. The accounts payable beginning balance amounted to 150,000. How much obligation is recognized during the year? So, to compute, we have beginning balance of accounts payable is 150,000 plus credit. So, actually, the credit postings of the accounts payable represents the obligation recognized during the period. So, yan yung ating nahanap in the problem. And then minus the debits to accounts payable, which is given at 320,000, is equal to the ending balance, which is also given at 280,000. So to get the amount, we will have beginning balance of 150,000 and then minus 320,000. So what is the amount to be added for us to have an ending balance of 280,000? So pwede rin siyang i-reverse natin yung mathematical operation. So we will start at the bottom to get what is the missing amount on the top. So we have here ending balance of 280,000. We will add the 320,000 because it is a deduction. So to reverse the mathematical operation, add. So 280 plus 320,000. And then minus the beginning balance of 150,000, we will get the 450,000 obligation recognized. So it can also be solved through your T accounts. So place the beginning balance on the credit side and then 320,000 on the debit side, then the ending balance on the credit side, and then find the amount that is to be credited so that the balance will become 280,000. Number 6, if the accounts payable account has a balance of 120,000, has a credit posting of 240,000 and a debit posting of 300,000, what is the beginning balance of the accounts payable? So, the beginning balance is the amount that is missing or what we are going to compute. Then, the credits postings, so 240,000 is added, minus debits, which is 300,000, is equal to ending balance, which is given at 120,000. So, to get the amount, which is the beginning balance, we will do the work back. So, work back means we will start here at the bottom and then mathematically reverse the mathematical operation. So, therefore, we have here from the bottom. So, ending balance of 120,000 plus the 300,000 minus 240,000. So, we arrive at 180,000 beginning balance, which is we work back in our computation. Number 7. If the total of the credit side of the trial balance is greater than the total of the debit side, what do you think is or are the reason? So, ito yung mga posibleng sagot. Merong account with debit balance na nailagay sa credit side of the trial balance. Pwede ring an account with a debit balance posted wrongly. So, for example, the correct amount, which is 51,000, was posted as 15,000. Another possible reasons for debit to be greater than credit side of the trial balance. So, an account with credit balance is placed on the debit side of the trial balance. So, namali ang lagay ng side. Next, an account with credit balance is posted wrongly. So, for example, the correct amount to be placed in the credit side is 210,000, pero ang naisulat, 21,000. Number 8. If sale of goods or revenues are posted on the debit of the general ledger, which side of the trial balance would generate a higher total? So, the answer is the debit side because ang debit side, ang amount from the credit side was incorrectly posted in the debit side. Number 9. If a machinery account is undervalued by 10,000, which side of the trial balance will generate a greater value? So, the debit side will be lower than the credit side because machinery is a debit ang kanyang normal balance. So, if it was undervalued, therefore, the debit side will have a lower balance than the credit side of the trial balance. Number 10. During 2017, an entity paid a total of 360,000 for rent, covering the period from October 1, 2017 to March 31, 2019. What figures should appear in the entity's financial statements for the year ended December 31, 2018? So first here is we count the number of months for which the 360,000 rent applies to. So from October 1, 2017 to March 31, 2019, that is total of 18 months. Analyzing it as follows. October 1 to December 31, that is 3 months. For the whole year of 2018, that's 12 months. For 2019, that's January 1 to March 31, that is 3 months. So add 3 plus 12 plus 3, that's 18 months total. So 360,000 divided by 18 is equal to 20,000 a month. Therefore, in the 2018 statements, the income statement must report a total expense of 20,000 times 12, which is 240,000. While the statement of financial possession will report a prepaid rent equal to 3 months, dated January 1, 2019 to March 31, 2019. So 20,000 times 3, that is 60,000. Number 11. On March 1, Pusoy Enterprise issued 8% 12 months note to Mabuhay Bank for a loan of 1 million. The interest are to be repaid on Feb 28 of the following year together with the principal. How much interest to be paid on maturity date, Feb 28? So, since this is a 1 year, 12 months, so 8% is also an annual rate. So, 1 million times 0.08 times 12 over 12 kasi 12 months. So, 80,000. The answer is 80,000. In number 12, if Pusoy Enterprise prepares financial statements at the end of December 31, how much is the interest incurred? So the interest incurred is from March 1 until December 31. And counting it, March 1, April 1, May 1, June 1, to hanggang December 31, that is 10 months. So 1 million times 8% times 10 over 12, that is 66,667 of interest incurred. So in number 13, what is the entry to record the interest incurred? So we have to debit interest expense 66,667 and credit interest payable 66,667. Number 14. JPT Company allows AGM Company to rent a vacant space for 20,000 per month starting August 1, 2021. The lease agreement is for 1 year, which means covering the period from August 1, 2021 to July 31, 2022. AGM agrees to pay the rent every 10th day after the end of each month. Assume that JPT prepares financial statement on December 31, 2021. What figures should appear in the entity's financial statement for the year ended? So, rent income is equal to 20,000 times 5. That is from August 1 until, so August 1, August, September, October, November, December. So that's 5 months. So that's why 20,000 times 5, that's 100,000. And then, the value of the rent receivable shall be equal to 1 month because the December 1 to December 31 will be collected on January 10. So therefore, from the 5 months earned, there is 1 month that is not yet collected. So the rent receivable to be presented in the statement of financial position is 20,000. Number 15. Lance Company borrow a 5% 90-day 200,000 from Adorable Bank on March 1, 2018. The interest for 90 days was deducted from the loan in advance. Normally, Adorable Bank computes interest using the ordinary interest. It is the policy of the company to use the asset approach in recording prepayments and liability approach in recording advanced collection of income. Assume that Lance Company prepares adjusting entries only 4 times a year, March, June, September, and December 31. How much is the amount of interest that was deducted in advance from the loan? So therefore, we have 200,000 times 5%, times, since the note is 90 days, so times 90 divided by 360, banker's rule, 30 days in 1 month, so 30 times 12, 360. So the amount of interest that was deducted in advance is 2,500 pesos. Number 16. What is the adjusting entry of Lance Company on March 31, 2018? So, March 1 to March 31, that is 1 month. So, 30 days. So, therefore, 2,500 times 30 divided by 90 days is equal to 833. So, this is the prepaid or the interest collected in advance that is to be regarded now as no longer prepaid because this is already expired portion. So debit interest expense 833 and credit prepaid interest 833. 17. An office equipment was acquired on March 31, 2020 for 180,000. The office equipment has an estimated life of 5 years without scrap value. So the depreciation expense of the equipment at the end of December 31 is computed here as 180,000 divided by 5 years and then multiply it by 10 over 12. So 180 divide 5 times 10 over 12, that is 30,000. 10 over 12 because the equipment was purchased March 31. However, the answer will be 36,000 if in the problem, the asset or the office equipment was purchased January 1. So, please take note, the answer for depreciation expense will be 36,000 if the asset has been acquired January 1. But in this problem, the answer is 30,000 because the asset was purchased March 31. Number 18. Cherish Company has the following account balances pertaining to accounts receivable at the end of year prior to the write-off of accounts of a customer's account amounting to 10,000. So accounts receivable 1,500,000, allowance for doubtful accounts 70,000. What is the net realizable value of accounts receivable before and after the write-off? So net realizable value is computed as the difference between our accounts receivable minus allowance for doubtful accounts. So first, we have to get the accounts receivable after the write-off here. So accounts receivable is 1,500,000 minus 10,000 accounts that has been written off. We deduct the 10,000 because the entry to record customers account that is written off is debit allowance for bad debts credit accounts receivable. So our accounts receivable now after the write-off is 1,490,000. Our allowance for doubtful accounts before write-off is 70,000. Minus 10,000 accounts written off because the entry to record write-off of accounts is debit, allowance for bad debt 70,000 at 10,000, and to credit the accounts receivable. So our allowance after the write-off is 60,000. So deducting accounts receivable of 1,490,000 minus allowance of 60,000, the net realizable value of accounts receivable is 1,430,000. 19. Suppose the total accounts receivable has a balance of 3,500,000 and the allowance for doubtful accounts before adjustment and write-off has a credit balance of 180,000. During the year, company wrote off a worthless accounts receivable valued at 50,000. The company estimates the allowance at 5% of the outstanding accounts receivable. How much should be the balance of the allowance for doubtful accounts after adjustment? So in here, we have the allowance beginning as 180,000. We will deduct the write-off of 50,000 because the entry to record the write-off is debit, allowance for bad debts, and credit, accounts receivable. And then, the provision for bad debts, the amount that we are going to compute. But, our ending allowance can be computed since accounts, the estimate is 5% of outstanding accounts receivable. This is balance sheet approach. So, that means that the amount estimated is the ending allowance for doubtful accounts. So, 3,500,000 times 5%, the ending allowance for bad debts is 175,000. So therefore, having these amounts here, 180,000 minus 50,000 is 130,000. So how come it becomes 175,000? So meaning there is a credit to allowance for bad debts, which is representing provision for bad debts. So the entry to record provision for bad debts here is debit bad debt expense 45,000 and credit allowance for bad debts 45,000. So in number 20, how much doubtful account expense must be recognized during the year so the required balance is met? So the answer is the income statement will report bad debt expense at 45,000. Whereas in number 19, the answer is 175,000 because the question is how much should be the balance of the allowance for doubtful accounts after adjustment. Okay, next. 21. The income statement of Masagana Company for the year ended October 31, 2020 reflected a net income of 170,600. The entity did not include an expense accrual of 180,500 and a prepayment of 120,000. What is the corrected profit or loss for the year ended October 31, 2020 following the inclusion of the accrued expense and the prepayment? So we have here the unadjusted net income of 170,600. We will deduct the expense, accrued expense, which is 180,500 because this is not yet recorded. So that means expenses already reported is understated. So to make it correct, we will add a deduction of expense from the net income. Next, for the prepayment, na 120,000, we will add back because this means that failure to record prepayment of expense means that the expenses reported has been overvalued or overstated. So since expense has been overstated, so net profit was understated. So that's why we add to the net profit unadjusted 120,000. So 170,600 minus 180,500 plus 120,000 is equal to 110,100. JAG Enterprise generated a profit of 150,000 for the current year. The owner would withdraw 10,000 per month for personal living expenses. At the end of the year, the capital of the owner will show a net increase of 30,000 because net profit was 150,000 while drawing is 10,000 times 12, so 120,000. 150 minus 120, so the net increase in capital is 30,000. 23. Assuming the total assets of the company totaled 5 million, total liabilities amounting to 2 million. The balance of capital beginning is 1,200,000, and the owner withdraw for personal use amounting to 400,000. How much did the company earn or loss during the year? So, that is a preparation of the statement of changes in equity with the following formula. Capital beginning plus additional investment plus net income, deduct the drawings is equal to capital ending. So, given ang capital beginning at 1,200,000 and there is zero additional investment. So, net income is the amount we are looking for. And then the drawings is given at 400,000. The capital end can be computed as the 5 million assets minus liabilities of 2 million. So, capital ending is 3 million. So, therefore, capital beginning of 1, 2 plus net income, which is not yet not given. So, we will look at it or solve. Less drawings, we should arrive at 3 million. So, to have it work back, so we will have to start at the capital end. So, 3 million, the drawing that is deducted in the formula, we will add. So, 3 million plus 400,000. And then deduct the 1,200,000 capital beginning to get the 2,200,000 net income. And that's all for this video. Thank you.